not mine. Non-functional.
You are very popular for that.
Mr. Chairman, I would love to contribute our knowledge onto the Foreign Affairs Ministry of this country that is being debated at this moment. It's a government plan that don't want me to speak, I think. No, nothing. No, that nothing, it's off. Honorable Chairman, may I start with quoting from Mahinda Chintane. I will follow a non-aligned, free and progressive foreign policy. Priority will be given to political, defence, economic, trade and cultural spheres, the cordial and friendly relationship that we already have with the countries in the Asian region, including India, Japan, China, Pakistan. Now this is from the Bible of the SLFP, Mahinda Chintane. But actually our foreign policy should be an extension of our domestic requirement. I'm sure, our domestic interests. I'm sure that is well ingrained, and I don't need to be telling the foreign minister or the deputy or the same, because that is something which is absolutely practically real. It should also be richly and realistically projected against a backdrop on the ever-changing international scenario. With malice to none and magnanimity to all, we must adopt a policy of friendship to all but alliance with none. But unfortunately, is this what is happening? We must realize that little Sri Lanka is part of the world and not that the world is inside Sri Lanka. This has been the hallmark of the foreign policy of the Mahinda Chintane. They think that all nations are inside Sri Lanka and that they have got to dance at the whims and the fancies of the requirement of the government that is in power. So I guess changing quickly, adapting to a realistic situation would be the best for the country. Now, Honourable Minister, I know you have a hard task. You were with the SLFP, you came with us, and you are back with the government. You have a difficult task to go ahead, but that is not what we are commenting at this particular moment. We are talking of the foreign policy of the country. It is, for good reasons or bad, in your hands. Have we, if you look at progressively, and if you look at practically, have we gone forward? Are we better placed than what we were before the war? 3.5 years post-war, have we managed to win the hearts and minds of the international community? There are 224 members, and of that, we at this precarious moment, facing an economic onslaught in the world, have only helped to create more enemies in the world rather than friends. Now let me take the Labour GSP, because you and I were part and parcel of getting this in 2001. Under the pragmatic leadership of Ranil Wickremesinghe and the UMP then, we managed to show the vacuum that was there and obtain the Labour GSP for the country. Today we lost it. You know that we tried to mention this to Rohita Bogalagama, then Foreign Minister. He ignored it. We mentioned to you saying that the best policy for the country is having a situation where the government and the opposition works together, talks to the international community and ensure that we protect this that has been given to us. At that time, members of the central bank, who are now economic pundits, mentioned that this is of no value. This has no impact to the community, to the business community. Today, what do the captains of the chambers of industry say? That it is only 14 months after Labour GSP has been withdrawn, the impact is $1.3 billion US. This is not something that can be just ignored. This is not something which we basically, the taxpayers can afford. This $1.3 billion, if it was in the hands of the countrymen, that means in the industrialists, who they could have given better salaries, able to compete better internationally, we would have been enjoying that 1.3 billion in today's state coffers. But what is, at that particular moment, the government said, we can lose it, we will give the benefit to you. Have you paid even what was promised before the war, when the war was going on? There were many promises that were given. It has not been paid, Honourable Minister. So you have got to, at this particular moment, carrying the tough task, you and the Deputy Minister, with an incompetent government, I'm saying so on the foreign policy that is going on, is just not helped the country to regain its lost prestige in the world. Now that is what I'm saying. Labour GSP at this particular moment is still to be negotiated. I'm happy I heard that in European Union, Ambassador I think it's Ariratna? Ravinath Arisere, he is basically doing his best. I think he's a competent person. But against the government, I'm sorry, wherever it is that I'm informed that he has started negotiating, at least on behalf of the government, which is a step in the right direction. We from the opposition will give all support if it can be brought back into order, because Labour GSP is something very important. And that doesn't go off from the taxpayers' money. It only basically, if it doesn't come in, then you've got to subsidize, and then it goes off the taxpayers of this country. Now, you know, our regional politics take place with India playing an absolutely important role. Today, our greatest friend has been made a suspicious friend. Why? Because you all are trading China against India. You may say not, but that is the reality. India has been a friend that has been there with us at all times. When has India stood against us and voted at Geneva against us? It happened in your tenure, in the government that you're representing. And today, we are faced with an odd situation where we are looking at international pariahs, as is told. Now, this is something which has got to be eradicated, Honourable Minister. We are saying because what you basically do as bad foreign policy reflects on the country. And if you basically mess it up, at the end of the day, we as an alternate government have to look at bringing this international prestige back again. That is what democracy is. Now, on that particular basis, you all, after the Geneva vote, was called to United States. You all went and met Hillary Clinton. Mr. Vijayadasa Rajapaksa, my colleague, mentioned very aptly as to how members of your own cabinet, how they have made fools of yourselves, staging fast unto death, a fast by itself, and then you basically, ridicule by burning effigies, and you go back to the very person, Hillary Clinton, Obama's, and what do you get out of that? Today you're saddled with the problem, but those guys are basically doing nothing but only fanning the fires of extremism. Now let me take the last statement that came after the Universal Periodic Review just about a couple of days ago. Now, in that particular one, they commend you for the resettlement, which was mentioned aptly by Lakshman Kiryala, so I don't want to mention. But we remain concerned by consolidation of executive power, including passage of 18th Amendment, and no agreement has been reached on political devolution. Former conflict zones remain militarized. The military continues to encroach upon daily civilian and economic affairs. The Ministry of Defense has controlled the NGO Secretariat since 2010. Now, this is the United States of America, which when you went after the Geneva vote against you, talking of the LLRC as your base, writing a 3-4 page letter to them and saying this is the way forward, you basically have this being mentioned by the United States in their 220 comments that have been made by many countries to the Geneva conference. Furthermore, it goes on, sir. The serious human rights violations continue, including disappearances, torture, extrajudicial killings and threats to freedom of expression. Isn't that untrue? Isn't that true? The opposition figures have been harassed, detained and prosecuted. There have been no credible investigations on prosecutions for attacks on journalists, media outlets in the past 30 days. A judge who was questioned executive interference in judiciary was severely beaten in broad daylight by multiple assailants, and derogatory posters appeared in Colombo threatening the director of NGO. These are mentioned by America, no less person. Might is not the right at this moment. There is no necessity just because you're a big country that you're going to bully small countries. We are small, we have our own right to stand on our own feet, but that does not mean that you misuse your powers at this particular moment. Neither can the others do that, neither should we exploit situations that are directly threatened against us. You know the Congress, just before you went, had basically written to the Congress and Hillary Clinton saying, do not meet Sri Lanka. But you are happy that you are successfully able to meet them. But what was told then is known by you and the rest of the world. But are you complying with this? Please ensure that these are the matters that you have got to look at. Now let me say, after you mentioned, now the problem that is there, Honourable Minister, is that the Foreign Ministry, de jure you are the Minister, but de facto there are other people. That's the problem that is faced with. The commands have to come from other people. I'm happy at least that the de facto person is able to do something better than the de jure. But what is it? You're going to copy all messages to such and such? This is what the Foreign Ministry are telling us. කවුද කියන්නේ? අන්න ඒක තමයි. බලන්න ඕනේ කවුද මේ කියලා. කතා කරලා ඉවරයි. දැන් මට
parliamentary words is unparliamentary on somebody.
But This is the real situation. All messages have got to be copied in. These are what the foreign minister is telling us. Never has it fallen to this low level. You must take command. If not, correct the situation. Before you try to trick the world, get it done at your own home, doorstep. Ensure that you get it done in cabinet. You must have a collective policy. Your cabinet of ministers must know as to what you're doing. Now, the Mahinda Samarasinghe is basically given one aspect of it. UN calls for quick political solution. Now, this is what he basically goes and speaks to the Secretary General. Step in the right direction. Then US warns Sri Lanka in writing to stop all dealings with Iran. Now, Honourable Minister, this is part of your external affairs. You know that this was coming 5 years ago. What have you done? Today, the institutions are having 110 billion loss. And you're saying Iran basically cannot trade with Sri Lanka, so we are losing. What were you doing 5 years ago? Honourable Fauzi saw the writing on the wall and basically extended and did certain things. But he was overridden by commission-oriented people that subsequently succeeded him. And today you're faced with the problem that is lampooning you all. That is, you're losing money and you're unable to trade and you're not being prepared. Now here it very clearly says in writing, now 5-6 months ago, or at least, in January, you all were in a complacent mood by saying, US have allowed Sri Lanka to import from Iran. But not knowing that Iran can't export to Sri Lanka. Is this the foreign ministry that you are guiding? So these are not personal, Honourable Minister. You may be erudite scholar in all spheres, but practically, this is not the way you're going to run a country. You must know what the problems are. In today's difficult world, where every country is at another person's throat, you've got to ensure that these are looked at. Then today you're talking through, I'm just reading through the daily newspaper day before yesterday, Lanka, Iran work out a deal on a huge oil bill. Iran owes Sri Lanka owes Iran, so as a result we'll use the money, not pay. Flagrantly violating the UN sanction that is placed, and you and we are signatories to this. Honourable, if government money can be, if government time can be given, please. They are the de facto foreign minister. So I'll listen to you because obviously, you see, okay, but time should be given from him, not from me. No, that is what I said. No, you were not listening, de facto foreign minister. What I said was they permit to send, but if Iran is not allowed to export, then what happens? That is the problem. So now I said here is that money that are due to United Nations. You can't barter those two and say, okay, I owe you, as a result you promised me a loan, as a result let us use that and ensure go forward. That is what I'm saying. So ensure when you guide the foreign ministry and when you guide the president that these are taken into consideration. These information given from the opposition free of charge. We are only giving this because when you all mess it up, we have got to ensure we take the rims of that mess up that you all have done. Now here, Iran tell ganimata nohaki une Amerikawa kiyai Vimal Weerawansa kiyai. Me pandita අපට කියන්න ඕනේ ඕක ගැන. කැබිනට් එකේ කිව්ව නෑ වැඩේ හරිනේ. මොකෝ මෙතන සද්ද කරන්නේ. මෙන්න මෙහෙම තමයි අර ප්ලග් ගලවනවා කියලාපු අය ඉරානෙට බැනලා ඇමරිකාවට බැනලා හිලරි කින්ටර් කිචකවලා මේ වගේ වැඩ කරන්න පුළුවන්ද? මෙන්න මේවා තමයි අපි කියන්නේ කරුණාකරලා don't play around with the integrity of Sri Lanka. This has been built upon through professionalism. And do not let these be spoiled by jokers that come just because Jaya Jayawardena gave a right to ensure that small parties also come into this system. Honourable Minister, now I did warn as to what the United States of America in the Universal Periodic Review had mentioned about Sri Lanka. Now I am just giving you a standing example, a classic example of the inaction of police. You know, in 2011, on 2nd of February, we had a protest. Myself, Dayasiri Jayasekara, Mrs. Rosie Senanayaka, all of them were hammered brutally. Mr. Karu Jayasuriya. That was 2 years ago. Yesterday I get a letter from the police, this is yesterday, dated saying that there is such a complaint that has been made by us. Would you please, as a member of parliament, come and give evidence regarding this matter? Now this is 2 years after the event has taken place. What are we talking of? Is this what you are basically telling an MP, member of parliament who made this complaint? Sorry? Yeah. No, this is 1 year. Right. So these are the things that you're projecting to the world. Furthermore, when you are talking Universal Periodic Review, you impeach. You and Maitri Wickramasinghe do an impeachment, confirmed by Udaya Gamanpilla and Pradeep Jayawardena. Then you basically send this, and at the worst of time, you basically send the impeachment to the Chief Justice of this country. Then you tell the rest of the world, what is this international community playing around with Sri Lanka? Haven't you got the foresight that at least if you do this, do it 1 week later if you have brains? Then what you do? You put the external pressure onto the rest of the countries and then point the finger there and tell they are violating international rights by coming into Sri Lanka's internal affairs. Honourable Minister, I am sure these are things that you're going to look at and ensure professionalism be brought in. You look at the Tamil students. Honourable, one of my colleagues mentioned in Parliament under privilege today as to what type of problems he had to go through. These are matters of Member of Parliament who basically had this particular thing done by, I don't believe, but what he basically mentioned by the forces that are there. The prison riot. What is it? You have basically armored cars going to prison? These are safety areas where nobody can go in. Leave alone arm and ammunition can go, or armored car, you can't even take a small penny into the prison. You go and brutally kill 100 people in there. These are the rest of the world seeing this type of thing. Then the media being stifled. Independence of the judiciary is very well known. Now, Honourable Minister, yesterday there were various debates. Speaker gave a ruling, well and good. But then what is the reality that is there? The same Speaker, when he basically pronounced a judgment on the Divinaguma Bill and he gave his interpretation on October 9, 2012, page 14, I'm quoting the Hansard, the right to interpret the Constitution is the province solely of the Supreme Court. That must not be disturbed, and the learned decisions on the interpretation must be treated with great respect. Honourable Minister, I am speaking on foreign affairs on a matter which I have been basically building up a trend.
Honourable Member.
Well, we just told the interpretation given by America.
You are
what are you getting worried about? I'm basically speaking here.
Chair. You listen to me, order please.
I am speaking. What is the reason that you are interrupting me?
You must be disciplined. You listen to me.
What to listen?
Listen to me. You are discussing.
You heard that the
discussing about the rulings of the Speaker.
You
can't do it. You are discussing about the ruling given then and now.
I am talking Hansard. I am talking the Hansard.
Even in Hansard, you can't discuss the conduct of the Speaker. You are casting aspersion on the Speaker.
I am casting on what the Speaker says.
That will be explained. You are a former Speaker. You are a former Speaker. Discipline yourself. Discipline yourself. I warn you.
What to do with the former Speaker of this House? He is the one who controls this House. He is the Speaker of this House.
You are a former Speaker. Set an example to others. That will be expunged.
How can it be expunged?
It will be expunged.
Hansard that the Speaker has given a ruling.
It will be expunged.
He basically said, I'm speaking out of the Speaker's thing.
You have only 1 minute more.
The right to interpret the Constitution of the province solely in the Supreme Court.
1 minute more.
That must not be disturbed. So on that particular basis, you are basically telling the Americans. You are basically telling the Americans
the members
that this is what you are doing.
To be unruly, Honourable Joseph Michael Pereira, don't call upon, it's a very bad example, the backbenchers to be unruly. Okay, you conclude your speech. You conclude your speech. Order. Your time is over.
No, you can't be shouting.
Your time is over.
If you interpret, you give me the time.
No.
You can't be playing around with our time like this.
You can't.
You are bulldozer.
You have
the court, you can't do that.
Abide by the ruling of the chair. Whether the Speaker or anybody.
You can't be pulling us from there.
I command all the
this is what the world must
powers
see.
that the
this is what the
Speaker
world must
enjoys
see
when
on what
he's in
is
the chair.
done to us.
All right.
You are the Chief Justice being impeached. Now,
that is the order of the chair. You must abide by it. You can't challenge later. If you want, there's a remedy elsewhere. Mr. Joseph Michael Pereira, I can send you out. If you misbehave, I can send you out.
Try to do that.
Right. Honourable Div Gunasekara. Honourable Div Gunasekara. Minister Div Gunasekara. You. No, your time is over. Your time is taken by others. You can. There is no point of order. You speak. No, you can't deliberately disturb the House. You speak. Honorable Rauf Hakim.
Can I kindly... No, since point of order...
You are calling
Mr. Chairman,
names on the chair.
Mr. Presiding Member, no, just to clarify, no, since the Honorable... No,
We are not dealing with the bullfrogs.
No.
Honorable Joseph Michael Pereira,
no.
behave yourself. You are a former speaker. You are a former speaker. You are setting a very bad example to others. Yeah, Honorable Mr. Rao. Don't try to bully the chair.
Honorable Presiding Member.
Okay, you carry on.
No, let me clarify
you
this issue.
You carry on with your speech, Honorable Rauf Hakim.
No, let me clarify this issue since Honorable Ravi Karunanayake raised this issue about Speaker's ruling yesterday. He has got his wires crossed in this sense. The earlier ruling by the Speaker regarding the Supreme Court's competence to interpret the Constitution is one thing. But to interfere with the legitimate functions of Parliament and its Select Committee through issuing summons to members of Select Committee is another thing. You see, therefore don't try to confuse this. So, it is not, both issues are not at cross purposes. You are confusing the whole issue. You are confusing the whole issue. The Speaker is well within his rights Speaker is well within his rights. Now, that's a different matter. That's a different matter.
Honorable, do you gonna say correct? Honorable, do you gonna say correct? Your turn. You have exhausted your time. Mr. Ravi Karunanayake, I warn you. In keeping with the standing order, I warn you. I warn you. I can send you out. You carry on. Don't disturb the house. Mr. Joseph Parra, you must take responsibility for this. Please make your members sit. Okay. Alright, you carry on. Honorable. You carry on. Alright. You can't challenge the chair. You carry on. You can't challenge. You have other remedies. You have other remedies. I tell you. You can't bully the chair. Find it from somewhere else. Okay, you carry on. You speak. You speak. Allow the senior minister to speak. Sit. Escape. You carry on. I'll name this back. Give me that receipt according to the... Yeah, what's your point of order, Mr. Carter?
Sir, point of order.
Honorable Ajit Pera, if you don't sit, I will suspend you from the house. I will. According to standing orders, they are unruly, they are not listening to the chair. I warn them twice. I suspend, according to standing order 74, 1 and 2, I suspend Mr. Ajit Pera. And I suspend the sitting for 10 minutes until he is removed by the sergeant at arms.